So today we are learning how to do the drop chain stitch, this stitch that you see here, which is a stitch pattern in our Halus hat. You can see these nice fat columns of what look like knit stitches adorning the hat. And today we're going to show you how to turn this into that. And what you need, the only tool that you need for this is a crochet hook. We're going to be hooking some stitches up to make this effect. So in the pattern, when you are ready to do the drop chain stitch, which happens at the very top of the hat, you've worked the whole hat until you get right up to the crown, and then you're going to drop all these stitches down and we're going to chain them back up to make this nice big chain. This is how the fabric looks before. You've got these 3 stitches here in a nice column of stockinette stitch, and I've already gone ahead and done one of these so you can see what it will look like after we're done. And another thing I want to point out is that the 3 stitches here that we've placed on a marker right after we work the ribbing at the base of the hat, those 3 stitches flow right into the chain, as you can see here. So the first step is probably the scary one, which is to drop the stitches down. Now before we drop them down, I'll just remind you that we've got these stitches down here on a holder. So as these stitches are dropping down, you don't need to worry that they're going to drop further down than you want them to go. We've got a little safety net down here for ourselves. So the first thing we do is release the 3 stitches from our needle. And we're not going to be using our working yarn at all during this time, so I just have it off to the side. And I'm going to make sure that all my live stitches that are on either side of these 3 stitches are nice and secure on my 2 needles here. So all I'm working with are these 3 open stitches at the top. There's a couple ways you can do this. You can start unpicking one row at a time. I find it's kind of easy if you stretch a little widthwise and then pull up like that. You can also use a crochet hook to help you get those ladders going as well. So this is going to get messy before it gets clean again, and that is okay. So just drop all of these ladders down. Make sure you're dropping all 3 stitches. Sometimes one stitch wants to kind of hold on, but make sure that you're getting those ladders coming out from all 3, every single row. And you'll see that the ladders that are being created have, are a little wobbly looking, and that's just because they've been sitting in the knitting for a little while, so the yarn has a memory to it. This is 100% wool. And so now here we are down at the bottom where we've got these setup yarn overs, and I'm pulling those out too. And I'm using a hook that's just a little bit small, around the same size. You can also use one that's slightly smaller. I wouldn't recommend using one that's incredibly smaller, and certainly not one that's larger. That'll just make this fussier than it needs to be. All right, so we've got a column here of ladders. You see how long these floats are because we do have 3 stitches. Those were making 3 stitches in the fabric before. And what we're going to do is chain these up with our crochet hook. Now to start, what I need to do is put these 3 stitches that are on a holder onto my crochet hook. And this is probably the fussiest part of the whole project. And while I'm going to be using this crochet hook that's similar in size to my knitting needle, I'm on a 10 with my knitting needle, and this is a J hook. I'm going to be using this to hook the yarn up, but I like to grab a smaller hook. This is not required, but it makes the start of this stitch a little bit easier. You can see I got a smaller gauge hook just to get started and get into these stitches at the bottom. Because they're going to be a little bit tighter than everything else I'm working into. So I've got my 3 stitches here. I'm going to come in through each one of them while I still have the marker on. The smaller hook also leaves me a little more space for the marker to just sit there while I get set up here. So I've got my crochet hook now in those live stitches, and I'm going to remove my marker as well. So that's coming out. I got a little snag there. And now I have 3 live stitches. You can see the rib below on my crochet hook. Now, the very first move is the most difficult. And that is why, again, why I like to take this slow and use a smaller hook. So what I'm going to do is there's these first 2 ladders you can see here. Just those 2 that are at the bottom. They're a little bit shorter than the ones above. And this is sort of a starting point. So we're going to go under the 2 ladders there. And we're going to grab them and pull them through those 3 stitches on my hook. Now, so what you'll see now is that those 3 stitches that we had the marker in, they're kind of looking like they're all coming together as a double decrease. And 2 strands of yarn are on my hook at this point. That's the setup, that's the start. The rest of this is going to be a little bit easier than that. So now I'm going to just swap my regular hook out for this one because I just needed that one to help me get in those held stitches. So I'm back with my regular hook. And what we're going to do is a regular crochet chain all the way up, but instead of hooking 1 ladder at a time, we're going to be hooking 3 ladders at a time, 3 of the strands of yarn at a time. And so it's good to make sure you're looking sort of at the side of the ladders to make sure you're grabbing the next 3. Sometimes a ladder from a little higher up might bump its way down and confuse you a little bit. But keep an eye on the side of the ladders and you'll see 1, 2, 3, those are the next 3. 1, 2, 3, those are the next 3. 1, 2, 3, those are the next 3. And we're going to go up that way. So I'm going to go under 3. I've got 3 strands here. And I'm going to pull those through like this. And I like to give them a nice little tug when I come through. And now you're always going to see 3 on your hook at any given time from this point forward. So I've got 1 chain through. I'm going to go under the next 3. Let's see if you pull them tight, you can count 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go under those and hook through and give a nice firm tug. And again, nice firm tug. Under 3 more until you've chained up all your ladders. And it's not super, super important that you have exactly a multiple of 3 ladders because you see that I have 1 more left up here. I've done pairs of 3 all the way up. And if you end up with 1 or 2 instead of 3 at the top, just use that last one the same way. Just treat it like a normal stitch. Or you could even make that top one. We could, instead of doing just 1 at the top, we could go back 1 and do four strands at the top instead of 3. Whatever you feel comfortable with is fine. It's not going to make a huge difference. And now we've got our chain over here mimicking our chain over here, and we've got this mega stitch on our hook, and we're going to put that back on your knitting needle like this. And you're going to treat that as 1 stitch in your next row. So now I'm back again with my working yarn. I've just made the chain, and in the pattern, this is for the next row, this is a slip stitch, and then on the following round you knit it, but I'm just going to knit it right now to show you what that's like. So when you're knitting the stitch, treating it as 1, you're actually going under all 3, or in this case 4 of those strands, and making a regular stitch, and that's how you finish the chain, the drop stitch chain. And now we've got a chain that matches this one. And you see this one's a little tidier. I've worked with it a little bit just to regulate, and you can stretch your chain a little vertically and a little horizontally to get the stitches to kind of adjust to a nice even tension. That'll also behave a lot better after you block the finished hat. If you wet block it or you steam block it, this I've already steamed, so you can see how flat and organized it looks as opposed to this one that's just a little bit messier right now, but once we get a little steam on that, it'll look exactly like that. And that is how you do the drop stitch chain.